If our planet came with a user's guide, this would be it. We're living on this incredible world, just a treasure trove of natural resources that literally sustain our lives and power everything we do. But what happens when the tank starts to run a little low? Well, let's dive in and find out.
Okay, I want you to take a good look at this number. Just 2.5%. It seems so small, right? Almost insignificant. But what it represents, well, it's absolutely critical to our survival.
That's it. Of all the water on our vast blue planet, a tiny 2.5% of it is fresh. And that single number right there, it just perfectly captures the huge challenge we're facing with all of our resources. They're finite.
So to really get a handle on our resources, we've got to understand the system they're a part of. It helps to stop thinking of Earth as just, a big rock floating in space. It's more like a complex, living machine with countless moving parts that are all connected.
So here you can see Earth's 4 fundamental spheres. You've got the atmosphere, that's the air; the lithosphere, the land; the hydrosphere, which is all the water; and the biosphere, that's life, all of us. And the thing you really need to get is that none of these are working in a vacuum. They are in this constant dynamic dance, and a change in one directly impacts all the others.
All right, so when you hear the term natural resources, this is the stuff we're talking about. These are the essential goods and services that this intricate system of spheres provides. I mean, this is the very bedrock of our economies, our societies, and our existence. And right here, this is where we hit the central dilemma. We've built our entire modern world on these resources, but they fall into 2 very, very different categories, and they point toward 2 very different futures.
It really boils down to this, a fundamental choice that defines our energy and our impact. On one side, you have resources that can, in theory, last forever. And on the other, resources that, once they're used up, they are gone for good.
So let's start with the renewable side. These are the resources that are either totally inexhaustible, like the sun and the wind, or they can be replenished within a human lifetime, like forests. You can kind of think of them as the planet's own natural income, a steady supply we can use to power our world sustainably.
And this is what that actually looks like on the ground. You've got these sprawling solar farms and massive wind turbines. They're both designed to tap into the natural, continuous energy flows of our planet without depleting some kind of finite stock.
Okay, now for the other side of the coin. Non-renewable resources, like fossil fuels. These are the result of millions and millions of years of geological processes. It's like a planetary savings account that took eons to build up, and we've been draining it at a crazy speed. And the most crucial point is, there are no new deposits being made.
This picture really gets at the immense power and infrastructure we've built on top of these finite resources. I mean, they fueled the Industrial Revolution, they built our modern civilization, but here's the catch. They all have an expiration date.
So what does all this pressure on our resources actually look like on the ground? Let's zoom in a little bit and look at 2 of the most critical life support systems we have, our forests and our water.
Now, forests are one of our most vital renewable resources. You've probably heard them called the Earth's lungs, and it's for a good reason. They produce the oxygen we breathe, they act as these massive carbon sponges that regulate our climate, and they're just hotspots of incredible biodiversity.
But here's the thing, we're using this so-called renewable resource way faster than it can actually renew itself. Our demand for wood, paper, and land for farming has led to massive deforestation, putting these vital ecosystems at risk. But this isn't a news story, and sometimes the most powerful resistance comes from the most unexpected places.
And that brings us to this incredible story, the Chipko movement. It all started right here, in the Himalayas, back in the 1970s. The government had given a contract to a sporting goods company to cut down these beautiful ash trees to make tennis rackets, and this completely ignored the local villagers who relied on those exact same trees for their survival.
So when the loggers showed up, the men of the village were actually away. So a woman named Gara Devi, she rallied 27 other women. They went to the forest and they confronted the loggers. And when words weren't enough, they did something truly extraordinary. They wrapped their arms around the trees, physically blocking the axis. This simple, powerful act of hugging the trees, or Chipko, it sparked a nationwide movement for forest conservation. Just amazing.
Okay, let's circle back to water. Remember that 2.5% figure from the beginning? Well, this chart really puts it into stark perspective. Look at that. Almost all of our planet's water is salt water, and that tiny, tiny sliver of blue, that's everything we have to work with.
And believe it or not, the picture gets even more complicated when you break down that tiny fraction. Just look at this. Nearly 70% of our freshwater is frozen solid in glaciers. Most of what's left is way deep underground. The water in our rivers and lakes, the stuff we can actually get to easily, is an incredibly small piece of the total.
When something this essential is also this scarce, conflict is, well, it's almost inevitable. All over the world, and even within countries, disputes are breaking out over who gets access to rivers and groundwater. Water is fast becoming one of the most critical geopolitical issues of our time.
So yeah, the picture can seem a little bleak, but the story absolutely does not end there. The solutions don't just lie with governments or giant corporations, they lie with us, through the power of public awareness and just getting together to take action.
It is so easy to feel like these problems are just too big for any one person to solve, right? But there's a really powerful idea here. Just like with our health, prevention is always better and way cheaper than trying to cure the damage after it's already done. And that prevention, it starts with us in our communities.
So, what can we actually do? Well, first, we can be the watchdogs for our own environment. Second, we can really embrace the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle in our daily lives. Third, we can use our voices, spread the word, and help shape public opinion. And fourth, we can support the organizations that are out there on the front lines of conservation. These are simple, but they are powerful steps that literally anyone can take.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this really powerful metaphor. We are all crew members on a single vessel, Spaceship Earth, traveling through the cosmos. Everything we need for our entire journey is right here with us. There are no resupply missions coming.
It's truly up to all of us to manage these supplies wisely. So the question we want to leave you with is this. As a member of the crew on Spaceship Earth, what role are you going